Today I will teach you the concept of tuples in Python and also the demonstration of tuples in the Jupyter Notebook. Now coming to the Python tuples, Python tuple is used to store the sequence of immutable Python objects. Immutable means we cannot change any of the items into the tuple, nor we can add, nor we can remove, or we can modify any item directly in the tuple. That is called as immutable, and it can store any value, and it can store dissimilar elements. Like suppose if at all I want to store an integer, float, then a string, a character, a boolean value, I can store it. The values of items stored in tuple cannot be changed and it is ordered. So as I was saying, immutable, we cannot change the tuple values and it is ordered. That means if you're trying to frame a tuple in a sequence such as like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, like that, you have been given in the same order, it is going to display the output. Because some data structures, some objects like dictionaries, sets are unordered, where it is going to display the items not in the order what you have given. Like suppose if I give 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 into the set or a dictionary, it might get like 3, 2, 1, 4, 5 like that. Okay, so that is called as unordered. But now here we are saying the tuple is ordered. That means how you are going to define the element, the same order you are going to get the output. A tuple can be written as a collection of comma separated values. So as I was saying, it's a collection of elements, and every element what you're framing into the tuple should be separated with the comma, and the values whatever you're writing should be enclosed within the parentheses. Now these brackets are nothing but a parenthesis, and you need to write the elements inside this. So this is a notation for a tuple. Now tuple also allows duplicate elements. You can write duplicate elements into the tuple. Okay, now coming to the slicing in tuples. Now here you can see, for example, the brackets, you can see the parenthesis, and I stored the element like 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So totally 6 elements, and every element is separated with a comma. You can see here, comma. Okay, and this is a tuple variable. Now in this place, you can take any variable like x, y, z, a, b. Okay, whatever the name you want to assign, some meaningful name you can give account to the application development. Now this complete tuple is been stored into this particular variable, so we call it that particular variable as a tuple variable. Now here we can see only numbers, but it's a combination of strings, then characters, then boolean value, then numbers of floating point values. Now whenever you go for a tuple, if you want to access any element from this particular tuple, we need to access with the index numbers. As you know, the array starts its indexing from 0 and ends with n-1. The same concept applies for the tuple also. So this in the parentheses, what you're seeing are the actual values. So you can see inside the box, this is an actual value, then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now these are all our actual values what you have written here. Now if at all I want to access this one, so I need to write the tuple variable of 0 index. If I go for the second element, we need to write tuple of 1 index. So here the index is starting with 0. So these values can be anything. It need not be every time 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It can start with 2 or 5 or 10, whatever you want, you can write. But the index number is going to start only with a 0 and ends with n-1. So I can say like the first box, the index number is 0. Then second one is 1. Then the third element is index number 2. Fourth element is index number 3. Fifth element index number 4, and the sixth element index number 5. So 0 to n-1. So 6 elements are there. 6 minus 1, 5. So the index number will be starting with 0 and ending with n-1. Now, if you want to assign a 0 value to the index number 0, that is this box, how do you assign? So you can take this variable, that is a tuple variable, and you want to fill here, right? So it is 0 index, so you can write 0 in the square brackets. You need to write as similar to arrays what you have learned in the earlier programming languages. So I put 0, and so this 0 is initialized to the 0 index. Now this box is 0 index. Now if at all I want to initialize some value called 1 into the 1 index, so this second box is a 1 index. I'm inserting 1 value. So the next index 2, I'm inserting 2 value. Suppose if you give third index like 300 here, the 300 you can see here stored, but the index number will be only 3. The value is different, index number is different. So index number is basically used for accessing an element or its position. Then the 4 value I need to put into the index number 4. This is index number 4, and the value is inside 4. Then similarly 5 I want to insert in the index number 5. So this is nothing but assigning the values to the based on the index number of the tuple variable. Okay, now I want to access few elements from the existing 6 elements. So here if I write tuple in the square bracket, if I write 0 colon, now here 0 is nothing but a starting index number. After colon, if you write any number, that will become ending index number. Now this colon is acting as a slicing operator. Now here the slicing is nothing but a range. I can say like a range of values. Okay. Now here when I give starting index number, but after colon I'm not giving any index number. So what is the output for this one is whatever the value is available in 0 index number, start from that, and the ending index number I'm not bothered, means all the values till the end you need to consider. So here you can see this is 0 index. Okay, you start from here to take this value, second, third, fourth, fifth, and sixth. So all values you need to print as an output. So this is your output for that. Now if you go for second one, I'm not giving starting index, I'm not giving any index in the square brackets, only I put a colon. So when you write like this, it will start from the 0 index and it ends with the n minus 1. So here also you get the same output. Now if you come for this tuple 2 colon 4, 2 is the starting index, right? But 4, when you write ending index, you need to go only till ending index minus 1. That means 4 minus 1, 3. So you can access only index number 2 and index number 3. 4 we are not going to access. So can you see here, this is 0 index, this is 1 index, this is 2 index. So we can access this. Then index number 3, this also I can access. Only these two. Fourth index is not considered. That you need to make a note. So you can see that's the reason we get only 2 and 3 as an output. Now if you go for the tuple 1 is to 3, so 3 minus 1, that is 2. So only index number 1, index number 2 is considered here. So you can go for, this is index number 0, index number 1, index number 2. The 3 is not considered here. So your output is only 1 and 2. Can you see here 1 and 2? Now here in the next one you can go for tuple. We don't write starting index, but we write ending index. So still whenever you're writing ending index minus 1 only we need to consider. So when you write, don't write starting index, it starts from 0 obviously, and here 4 means 3 index only, till that only we need to consider. So 0 index, 1 index, 2 index, and 3 index. So only these 4 elements will be displayed for us. Now this is called slicing. Slicing is nothing but the range of values from the existing values. Okay. Now here we have the forward direction and backward direction in tuples. That implies we can move in the forward direction right from left to right for accessing the elements. Similarly, I can start accessing the elements from last to first also. So if you can see, I have Python and KID. So I'm having some elements 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is also been considered as a element space 7. So 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So totally 10 elements are there. But since your index number is starting from 0, it ends with n minus 1, that is 9 only. So on the whole, if you count, you get 10 elements. So you can see this starting index will be 0, then 1 index, then 2 index, then 3 index, 4 index, 5 index. The space is also been allocated 1 index, 6, then 7, 8, and 9. Totally 10 means 0 to 9 only you are going to get. Now the positive numbers you can just see from left to right. Those are called as forward direction. Okay, now if at all I want to access the element from last to first, So you can see this D is the last element. It's negative indexing. This is called a negative indexing. Negative indexing, it starts with -1. So the last element is -1. Then its before element is -2. Its before element is -3. Its before element -4. It goes on. Okay, it will not start with 0. Okay, so -1 and it goes on. Okay, so in Python programming, we can apply negative indexing also. So here, if you can see 0 to 9, that is positive indexing. And when you see -1, which is starting from the last letter to the its previous letters, is been going on increasing. So -1, -2, -3, like that. That is called negative indexing. So that is one more additional feature what we get in Python. Now, what are the methods available in Python? We have two methods. Now, one is count of x. Okay. Now, the description, if you see, returns the number of items x. If suppose you have a tuple with some numbers and 5 is repeating for thrice, 3 times. Okay, 5 has been repeated for 3 times, and on the whole you have 10 elements. So here I want to find out whatever the x value I'm giving here. Let's say I'm giving 5. That you need to count how many times the particular number or a particular string, whatever you want to just count, is available in the particular tuple. Suppose I'm said 5 is repeated for 3 times. So I'm searching, I'm just counting like 5. I give the x value as 5. Then it will give the answer as 3. Okay. Then here index of x. Now here, if I write index of the same example, if I take 5 is repeated for thrice, if I take index of 5 here, now it will return the first occurrence index number. Like suppose the 5 has been in the third index, one more 5 is in the seventh index, one more 5 is in the ninth index. So whenever it is scanning from left to right, the first index, wherever the 5 it has been found, that index number is going to return. Like first it has been found at third index, third will be the answer. So I'll show in the demonstration. So returns the index of the first item, that is equal to x value. Now we'll see the demonstration of Python tuples in Jupyter Notebook. So let me open the Jupyter Notebook now. So it's already opened Jupyter Notebook. Now here you can see Python tuples. Tuples are collection of dissimilar elements. So as I was already saying that we are not going to store only similar elements like only numbers or only strings, nothing. We can just put a combination of different data types. So that's the reason I'm saying tuples are a collection of dissimilar elements. Now tuples are used to store multiple items in a single variable. Now just I was showing in the PPT like tuple equal to 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, totally 6 elements are there that has been stored in a single variable called tuple. Okay, so tuples are used to store multiple items in a single variable. Now it is a tuple is a collection which is ordered, as I was mentioning in the PPT. Ordered means in which order you are going to give the values. In the same order, the output will be printed. And unchangeable, immutable, I said. Immutable means we are not going to change or add or remove any items from the Python tuple. Okay, directly. Indirectly, we have some methods to be performed. I'll show that. Tuples are written with round brackets. So I was saying the parentheses are called as round brackets. Now that is a notation for tuple creation. Now, if you can see this, I want to create an empty tuple. So I've taken x equal to only parenthesis I put. Only parenthesis. Okay. Now here you can see only tuple, only the parenthesis, and I'm printing. Now when I execute this one, you're getting only this empty tuple. Okay. Now this notation is this is the notation for tuple. Okay. This is called parenthesis. Now, if you see this, x is a tuple variable. Now here also taken x is a tuple variable. Okay. You can take any variable that is user defined. So x equal to, now you can see the elements like I've written Python, then programming and text and book. 4 are strings. One is 20, that is an integer. The other one is 10, that is also been an integer. But you can see I put in the parentheses, that is the round brackets. Totally 6 elements are available. And when you're storing that into a tuple variable, and you're printing that, you get in the same order. Can you see? Python programming text 20 book and 10. Now this is called as ordered. In which order you give, the same order you're going to get the output. Okay. Now coming to the next one, tuple items. Tuple items are ordered, unchangeable, and allow duplicate values. Tuple items are indexed. The first item can be accessed the index number 0. The second item has the index number 1, and so on. So I already mentioned in the PPT also. Now coming to the ordered, once again, tuples are ordered means that the items have a defined order, and that order will not change. So here only we have shown, we have written some order, like 3 strings. You got 3 strings, same, and then number, then string, then number. This is called as ordered. If suppose you would have got this book here and this programming somewhere here, that is called as unordered. Okay, but tuples are ordered. Then tuples are unchangeable, means that we cannot change or add or remove items from after the tuple has been created. Okay, that's why it is called immutable. Allow duplicates. As I mentioned already, since tuples are indexed, they can have items with the same value, that is duplicate elements. Now if you can see the same string here, now we can see this Python, and here also the Python I have written, programming, and here also now these are duplicate values, so we can write. Okay, and I'm storing in a variable, becoming a tuple variable, and printing. Just see the same order you are going to get. Total 6 items. Okay, duplicate element. These two are duplicated. Here you can see same. Now, if at all you want to find out how many items are available in a tuple, then you can apply a len function, len. So to determine how many items a tuple has, use the len function. That is nothing but tuple length. So if you see this, I want to print the number of items in the tuple. So I have taken this same example. So totally 6 items are there. So first string, second, third, fourth, fifth, and sixth. Then you can see x is 7 and length equal to 6. Okay. So if at all I'm adding some 45 and I'm adding 7.3, or I'm adding false. The 3 elements I'm adding, including boolean value, just see the count. It is becoming 9. Okay. So just to find out how many values are there, we are going for len function, and you need to pass the parameter of the tuple. Now create tuple with one item. Can I create a tuple with one item? Yes. So to create a tuple with only one item, you have to add a comma after the item. Otherwise, Python will recognize it as a string. So here generally it is string. Okay. Now, can you see here? One item tuple. So how to write? So here I've taken one variable and I've written one string, and I need to put this comma. Then only it has been considered as a tuple. Then I want to just print the data type of that particular because I am saying it's a tuple, right? So I'm by using a type function. If in the type function you pass this variable, then it need to give your answer like tuple, and this is a class type. So I just execute yes. Now if you can see this one, it's not a tuple, it is a string. So here I've given, I not put a comma. Can you see here, after the double quotes are not given a comma? So it's a normal string, and if you can see the data type of the particular variable, it is string. Okay, so it's not a tuple. Even though you're writing in the bracket, that is a rounded bracket parenthesis, it is not a tuple. You need to compulsorily specify this comma, then only it is been. So when you go for one element, especially, okay, 2 elements, there is no problem, but one element, you don't write like this. You need to put a comma after that, then only it is becoming a tuple. Suppose if your answer here is string, here I give a comma. Then you can see what is the data type. Now it is becoming a tuple. Okay. If I remove this, it's becoming a string, right? So you'll be very much careful when you're defining like this. Then, okay, then tuple items, that is data types. Tuple items can be of any data type, as I mentioned. See here, if you can see, these are all strings I'm storing in a tuple variable A. Can you see again the parentheses I'm using here? I'm storing in A. Now if you can see, only integers I'm storing. If you can see here, Boolean values I'm storing. So 3 different tuples. One is A, one is B, and one is C. You can define any variable here. Okay. Now here I'm printing that. So obviously you get the same. One tuple, then second tuple, and third tuple. Now, if you can see here, this is similar items only I'm storing. But I want to store dissimilar elements. Yes, you can do that. Now can you see a tuple can contain different data items. So here I've given a string, a number, a Boolean value, a floating point value, again a string. So here also you can see the rounded brackets, and I'm storing in tuple variable called y1, and I'm printing that. You can just see the same. So here if you can see the similar elements, but here I put a dissimilar element, still it is accepting. So that's the reason I mentioned that tuples are a collection of dissimilar elements. Now if at all you want to find out the data type of the tuple, you can just go for, or in fact any data type you want to find out in Python, you can use the type function. So tuples are defined as objects with the data type tuple. So here I want to find what is the data type of the tuple. So I've mentioned one tuple with 5 elements here. It's up to how many elements you project, but you just use type function. Just use type function and give the tuple variable. You get the answer as tuple. Okay, this one we want. Now, tuple constructor. It's also possible to use tuple constructor when creating a new tuple. So here you can just write tuple, and here we are writing the elements, 5 elements, and you can write in the tuple constructor. Then just execute that. You can just get here. Okay, that is one thing. And if you just put a square bracket as a list here, also that list is again converted into a tuple. Okay, instead of I'm passing a list in square brackets. Square brackets are a representation for the list in tuple in Python. So that I'm storing here. But here I'm trying to use a tuple constructor, or the parameter is list. Still it is giving the answer as tuple only. Can you see here? Okay. Now how to access tuple items? So as I said, any item you can access with the index number. So tuple items are indexed, and we can access them by referring to the index number inside square brackets. And the first item has the index number 0. As I mentioned, index numbers start with 0 and ends with n minus 1. Now you take an example. I want to print the third item of the tuple. It's not list. Okay, third item of the tuple. So I've taken 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 elements. So this is first element, second and third. I want this one. So this is index number 0. This is index number 1. This is index number 2. So you want to find out this. Then obviously you need to take the tuple variable and give the index number 2. Since it's the third element, still fine. Only based on the index number you can access. So this is becoming 0 index, 1 index, and 2 index. So you can write the 2 and execute. You get the answer. If suppose I want to take this particular value, again you need to just search 0 index, 1 index, 2 index, and 3 index. So if I mention 3 here, you can see you got that one. If I go for the next one, or if I go for the first one, I need to put a 0 index. So like this, any item with index number, you can check out. Okay. Now, can I perform negative indexing? Yes, you can perform negative indexing. The last element of a list of a tuple is being called as a that means the negative. It is the last element of the tuple is considered as the -1 index. Okay, so negative indexing means start from the end in the tuple. So you can see -1 refers to the last item, -2 refers to the second last item, etc. If you can see the example here, print the last item of the tuple. So here this is the last item, right? So this index number, when you talk about negative indexing, it will become -1, -2, -3, -4, and -5. Here my this one requirement is last item. No, I want to print this one, so I need to put -1 index. So you can see everything is stored in y1. I take this y1 and I pass negative index -1. Then you'll get this. If suppose I write -2, then I need to get 3.4. Can you see? If I give -3, it need to give false. Yes. Just I'm resetting the same. Now, range of indexes, or we call it as tuple slicing. So we can specify a range of indexes by specifying where to start and where to end the range. So already I mentioned the colon is a slicing operator, and I mentioned in the PPT very clearly what is starting and what is ending index. So when specifying a range, the return value will be a new tuple. Okay, what is your result answer? Resultant answer will be come a new tuple, because here the slicing implies what? A range of values. So you have a list, and I want a range of values from that tuple. Now, for example, if you can see, I put 5 elements, but I want to extract second, third, and fourth element only. So you totally have 5 elements, right? So I want only these three. Which one? Only these three I want. Second element, third element, and fourth element. But how to access? So I can go for slicing. So this is 0 index. This is 1 index. So I want to start. I want these three, right? Then obviously I need to put the starting index as 1 and ending index. So this is 1, 2, and 3. But if you give 3 as an ending index, you get only till here. So what I need to do is I just give one more extra. I'll give the index number as 4. That 4 is not considered. One before that is considered. So I need to give like this. 1 is a starting index colon 4. Any of 4 is not considered. Till 3 you are going to get. My requirement is that one, second element, third element, fourth element. This is the second element, third element, fourth element. But the second element index number is 1. Third element index number is 2. Fourth element index number is 3. So I need to write 1 is to 4. Okay, any of fourth is not considered. Till 3 only you are going to get. So index number 1, index number 2, index number 3 will be your output. So can you see here, second element, third element, fourth element we got. Now, note, the search will start at index number 1 for this. Okay, index number 1 and end at index number 4. This one, index number 4, but not included. The index number 4 is not included. That's why till before you are going to get. And the first item index is 0. Now, by laying out the start value, the range will start at the first item. So this one also I mentioned earlier. So it returns the items from the beginning too, but not including the last thing called program. This one. Okay. As of this example I've written. So I've taken a list, complete list. I put into the tuple constructor. Then obviously it is being giving a tuple as an answer. But what you want from this? So I want to return the items from the beginning, but not including this programming. That means this is not included and this also will not get included. So right from here to here I want. So you need to just check out what is index number. Starting index number obviously 0. So if you don't write anything also, starting index number to start with 0 only. So we're not writing starting index. Then your ending index is 4. So this is 0 index, 1 index, 2 index, and 3 index. This 4 index is not considered. Okay, so because programming should not be included, right? So this should not be included. This is index number 4. So you can write the ending index as 4. And as I mentioned, whatever the ending index you mention, only just before that will be considered. Okay, and the ending index will not be considered. So these 4 elements only, 0 to 3 only, we get the output. Now by leaving out the end value, the range will go on to the end of the list. This is for the next one. So here it returns the items from the second index to the end. So now here you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 elements I have been storing in y1, and y1 of 2. Starting index number is 2, but after colon I'm not writing anything. That means there is no ending index. When you don't write any ending index, it will consider all the elements of the tuple right from the index number 2 here. So this is index number 0, index number 1, index number 2. From here it is going to start. Since there is no ending index, all these elements get printed. Just see, starting from 2. But ending index is not there, so all the elements are considered. So you get the complete output. Perform negative indexing in tuples. So we can perform negative indexing where we say the last element as -1, its before element is -2, and so on. So can you perform slicing on negative indexing? Yes. Specify negative indexes if you want to start the search from the end of the tuple. Now here you can see we have an example. So I have taken a tuple. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 elements are there. This example returns the items from 3.4 to, but not including the last element, that is -1. So how do you get the elements from here to here, not including text? So you need to see the native indexing, like this is -1, -2, -3, and -4. So this will be the starting index. So I written -4 as the starting index. Colon ending index is -1. So I written this one. And as we know that the last element is not considered. So you get the output from here to the programming only. So unit rate starting index is -4 and ending index is -1. So any point of time when you give negative indexing also, it will only move in the forward direction. If suppose I give -4, it will only move like -3, -2, and -1. So it never goes back. Okay, so if you can see the output here, you can see false 3.4 and programming part. Now check if item is existing in a tuple or not. So how do you check whether any item is existing in a tuple? So to determine if a specified item is present in a tuple, use the keyword called in keyword. Okay, in. Now check if programming is present in the tuple. So I want to search this particular word is available in the tuple. So I have taken one tuple with 6 elements, and in this you can see programming is already available. So I want to just check. So I'll write here programming. Okay, if double quotes in the programming in y1. So in operator we are using. So I'm trying to check whether the programming is available in this y1 tuple variable. So it is matching here. Then you get the output is item is available. Just click. So you got item is available. If suppose I'm giving the value which is not available, suppose I give capital P here, programming, because the Python is case sensitive. So small p and capital P or small letter and capital letters are very distinct. So if I want to find out with the programming with capital P, it is not matching here, the capital P programming is not available, then you will get the output as it's not available. So can you see it is not available? Okay. So if you want to just check any number also, you can just remove this and I put just 20 is available in Y1 or not. Just click this, you can see item is available. Okay, so whatever you want to search, you can search by using the in keyword. Now, update tuples. Tuples are unchangeable, meaning that you cannot change, add, or remove items once the tuple is created. Fine. Now, change tuple values. Once the tuple is created, you cannot change its values. Tuples are unchangeable or immutable, what you mentioned, but we can convert the tuple into a list. Then you change the list items and again convert the list back into a tuple. So if you want to just change any of the element of the tuple, so what you can do here is first you convert the tuple to a list, because list is mutable, right? So we can convert your tuple into a list, then modify and again reconvert that back to the tuple. So that is a scenario. If any modifications are required, directly we cannot do. So convert the tuple into a list to be able to change it. So here you can just observe, I've taken one tuple with 6 elements. Now I'm printing that first. Okay. Then I'm passing this x variable to a list constructor. Okay. And that is now this, whenever you pass this tuple into a list constructor, this y is acting as a list now. So you can see that. I'll show the output here. Then I want to change this index. That is what y of 1. Y is a list, right? Now all the elements are in the list. So y of 1 means this one will get accessed. And I'm trying to change to 230. Whenever it is a list, we can modify. And in 20 place, I can insert 230. Then again, what I'm trying to do is, again, I'm trying to pass this y variable to a tuple constructor. Tuple. So that the list is converted to a tuple and storing in x. And printing the x file. Just execute this. Now can you see here? I stored everything the tuple into the x. So when I'm printing x, you get the first output. This one. I can see the brackets also. That's a tuple only. Now next what I'm doing, this tuple I'm passing as a parameter to a list. constructor and converting it as a list. Then print that y. Can you see here the square brackets? Square brackets here, same text. That means the tuple is converted into list. Now, once you get the list, you take this element 20. How to access? Y of 1. This is 0 index, this is 1 index, right? So I have written y of 1 is 230. That then 20 is replaced with 230, and this y is again passed to a tuple for reconstructing back. Then this x is acting as a tuple now. So can you see here? So this 20 value got converted into 230. So I can't do directly. So what I'm trying to do here is, first I'm taking one tuple, then converting the tuple to a list by using list constructor. Then you modify whatever you want, again reconvert that list to a tuple by using tuple constructor. Then you get the output here in parentheses. Now this is the way you can do. Suppose I want to add items to a tuple, some new item I want to add. So since tuples are immutable, that means you cannot change. They do not have a built-in append method, but there are other ways to add items to a tuple. Again, what you need to do, convert into a list. Add your items, new items, and convert it back to a tuple again. So the same scenario goes on here. I've taken 6 elements, and this is a tuple, and I'm printing that. So you can see this first output. Next, I'm passing this x to a list constructor, and I'm storing everything in y, and you print that y. Can you see now it is a list? Can you see the square bracket here? Now once it is a list, then you can use append method on the list. We have an append method on the list. Y dot append of, you can go for hello. Then once it is appended means only to the end, only here only it will add. After adding, it will store again in y, and this y is nothing but list, right? That list you pass to the tuple constructor so that the list is reconverted back to the tuple. Now can you see here? This one is added here. Okay, and reconverted back into tuple, the tuple is getting printed. Okay, so like this you can add new element also, right? So any point of time when you apply append, it is going to add only to the last. Okay, now can I add one tuple to the other tuple? We are allowed to add tuples to tuples. So if you want to add one item or many, create a new tuple with the items and add it to the existing tuple. So how to do this, we'll see. Now create a new tuple with the value hello world and add that tuple. So here this is the main tuple for me with 6 elements, this one, and store in x. Second tuple I have taken with only one, that is hello world, and I put a comma here. When you put a comma, if you have one element, then only it becomes tuple. Now 2 tuples are there. I want to just add one tuple with the other tuple. Can you see x plus equal to y? Means what? X equal to x plus y. So this hello world need to be appended here. Okay. Now, once you have been added, you are going to store into x again. So I'm printing only x. Okay. So can you see here only one tuple I'm getting. So Python 20 false 3.4 program text, and this second tuple is added here. Okay. So like that you can concatenate one tuple with the other tuple. Okay. Note, when creating a tuple with only one item, remember to include a comma after the item. Otherwise, it will not be identified as a tuple. Can you see here? The comma has been specified here. I already clearly mentioned that if you don't give this one, it will be acting as a string, right? So you're very much careful when you're defining the tuple with one item. Now, can I remove items from the tuple? Now, again, when you want to remove also the same thing, you take one tuple, convert into a list, remove one item from the list, and then you need to reconvert back to the tuple. So you cannot remove items in a tuple directly. So tuples are unchangeable. So you cannot remove items from it. But we can do it by converting into a list and apply remove method, then reconvert it back to the tuple. Now how to do that? So convert the tuple into a list, and I want to remove 3.4 and convert it back into a tuple. So here you can see I've taken one tuple. 1, 2, 3, 6 elements are there. I put in x. Now I'm converting this complete tuple to a list by using list constructor, and I'm storing in y. And I'm applying remove method on this list. Y dot remove 3.4. Once it is getting removed, then you need to reconvert that particular list to a tuple again. Okay, so how do you do that? You can go for the tuple constructor and put. So here ultimately this 3.4 should be removed. So apply remove function of the list and again reconvert back to the tuple. So you can see there is no 3.4 in the output. So like that we can do the remove function. Remove method can be applied. So we can delete the tuple completely by using del keyword. So suppose I want to remove the complete tuple, let's say. So I can use del keyword. So the del keyword deletes the tuple x completely as for this example. So I'm having one tuple, I store in x, and I'm using del keyword and I'm writing the tuple name. Now once you write this one and print this x value, this will raise an error because the tuple no longer exists, right? So this one is completely get dropped. So just execute and see this one. Can you see an error? So because we have completely removed that particular tuple and you are trying to print the tuple where we can get, right? So we don't get that one. So this will raise an error because the tuple no longer exists. So name x is not defined. Okay. So like that we can remove the complete tuple also. Now can we apply list? Can you apply loops in a tuple? Okay. Yes, we can perform that looping. We can loop through the tuple items by using a for loop. Now how to do that? Now here I've taken totally 1, 2, 3, 7 items are there and I store in y1 and we have a for loop. Now for I in y1 means in y1 we have 7 elements. You take out first this element and put into the I value and print that. Can you see Python is printed? Next one, 20 has been removed. 20 is stored in y I and print I value, so you get 20. Then this item is stored in I, so one by one it is going to pick up. Okay, and it is going to print. So this is a notation for this is a temporary variable. Okay, you can take anything for x in for I in tuple variable, then print that particular I value because every iteration one by one it is going to store from this tuple first element, second element, third element. So every iteration one element is taken and printed like this. Can we go for looping through index numbers? Yes. You can also loop through the tuple items by referring to their index number. You can use range and len functions to create a suitable iterable. Now print all items by referring to the index number. So here what you can do here is, same example I'm taking the tuple with 7 elements. I store in y1, so it is becoming a tuple variable for I in range of. Now I'm giving the length here. Now len is a function to count the number of elements in y1 tuple. So here you got 7, right? So you get len of y1 means you get 7 here. So the inner meaning is for I in range of 7. 7, when you write here the number, it will start from 0 and end with 6 index number only. Okay, that's an index number. So this will replace what 7 because first 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7 elements are there. So you get 7 here. That implies the range of 7. 7 means 0 to 6 only it will count. So now if you take for I in range of, if you write 7, it will take 0 index and put into I. So if I call y1 of 0, you get this output. Next, I becomes 1. y1 of 1 is printed. This one is printed. Then I becomes 2. y1 of 2, it will print this one. y1 of 3, it will print this one. y1 of 4, y1 of 5, y1 of 6. When it becomes 7, the condition is getting failed here and you come out of the loop. So that's why you can get only, this is 0 index, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6 index numbers. When you write 7 here, it is not considered. Now can I apply while loop in tuples? Yes, you can apply while loop also. The len function is used to determine the length of the tuple. Then start at 0 and loop your way through the tuple items based on the index numbers. And remember to increase the index by 1. So suppose you forget to increase the index number incrementation, right? Then obviously it goes to the infinite loop. So that's the reason I made a note here. You need to increase the index number, index value by 1, or it depends. Okay, but don't forget to write. Now print all items using a while loop to go through all the index numbers. Okay, so I've taken 7 elements again, and I store in a y1 tuple variable. I've taken I equal to 0. I equal to 0 initial value, and while I less than len of y1. When I talk len function, it is going to count. So total 7, right? So you get I less than 7. Okay. Then print of y1 of 0. What is y1 of 0? Python. So you get the output called Python. Then I equal to I plus 1. So I is becoming 2. 2 less than 7 true. Y1 of, and I is 0, right? So 0 less than 7 true. Y1 of 0, you're getting this. So I becomes 1. 0 plus 1, 1. 1 less than 7. Y1 of 1 means you get this. Again I becomes 2. 2 less than 7 true. Then y1 of 2 means you get false. Again I becomes 3. 3 less than 7. Y1 of 3. Then you get 3.4. So like that it goes on. Whenever it becomes 7, 7 less than 7, the condition get failed. So you come out of the loop. Okay, so this way we can apply. So if you forget this line, then obviously it goes to the infinite loop. Again, you stop your application and you need to rerun. Okay. Now, can we join tuples? Yes, we can join the tuples by using the plus operator. So here you can see we have one tuple with 4 elements, 4 strings. The other tuple with floating point as well as integers. So if I write y1 plus y2, that is called concatenation. So y1 is this, and these numbers are added to the end. Okay, then that is stored in y3. So if you print y3, you can see the first 4 elements from y1 added with 3 elements from y2. Now like this, you can join the tuples, 2 or more tuples. You can have a few more tuples also, then play the plus operator on that. Now can we multiply tuples? Now that is nothing but by using repetition operator, which is a star mark. Okay, now how does it work? You can see I've taken one tuple with 2 elements, 4, 5, and I have stored in x, and x equal to x into 5 I'm writing. So 4.5 is x, right? 4, 5 into 5 means here it is called a repetition operator. It's not a multiplication operator, it is a repetition operator. That means 4, 5 is repeated for 5 times. When you print that x value, 4, 5 one time, second time, third time, fourth time, and fifth time. Now this is whenever you apply a star mark in onto any iterable object like list, then tuple or dictionary. So then it has been acting as a repetition operator. It will repeat it for so many number of times. If I give 7 here, you get 7 times. Can you see? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Okay. Because this complete list, sorry, tuple is going to be repeated for 7 times. Now, what is unpacking the tuples? See, when we create a tuple, we normally assign values to it. Fine. This is called as packing a tuple. Now, for example, you can see I've taken 4 elements I store in y1, and I print this one. So we are assigning these 4 values as a tuple to y1, right? So here generally, okay, for y1 we need to print. So this is called packing a tuple. In Python, we are also allowed to extract the values back into variables. Now these are the values we are assigning to a variable and we are printing. Then here you can see this is a normal process. Okay, the values are assigned to a variable. Fine. This is called packing a tuple. But here in Python, we are also allowed to extract the values back into variables. So this is called as a reverse process where we call unpacking. Now how to unpacking a tuple, you can see. Now here I have taken uh, 4 values and store in y1. Now here I'm taking 4 separate variables, and I'm giving this tuple variable here. So what happens? Generally we write in reverse way, right? But here unpacking means this complete tuple variable I'm assigning. So what happens here is this Python from y1 is going to store in this variable. Programming is going to store in this variable. Text is going to store in this variable, and book is going to store in this variable. If you write like this concept is called as unpacking. So you can see py, pro, and these are all been acting as variables. So from a tuple, you are assigning to each content to a variable. Okay. Then if you print that, you're getting, can you see the first one is storing Python, first one is storing Python, second is programming, third one is text, and fourth one is book. Okay. See, note, the number of variables must match the number of values in a tuple. So here 4 variables I've taken because 4 values are there. Okay, so that's called a matching you need to do, then only to store. Now, if not, you must use an asterisk mark to collect the remaining values as a list. See how to use an asterisk mark, we'll see. See, if the number of variables is less than the number of values, you can add an asterisk mark to the variable name and the values will be assigned to that variable as a list. Now just try to understand how you are going to do. Now here 4 elements are there: Python, programming, text, and book, and that I'm storing in y1, so it's a tuple variable. Now you can see 4 elements are there, but I'm writing only 3 variables. 3 variables: Py, Pro, and Te. So what we are saying is, first Python is going to store here, programming is going to store here, but here 2 elements are there, but here only 1 variable is there. So what you can do in such situations, you need to put an asterisk mark for the last one. Then these 2 will be assigned for this one as a list variable. Okay, so here you can see, so here we can just remove this. So first I'm printing this, second I'm printing, third I'm printing here. Just execute and see. Can you see here? These 2 have been assigned to this one because here actually 4 elements are there, but you're trying to put only 3 variables. It's not possible. Suppose if you remove the star mark, you get an error. Okay, too many values to unpack, but here 4 elements are there, you're writing only 3. So what we can do alternatives, we can put a star mark here. Now this remaining elements, whatever is there, that will be stored as a list. Can you see square brackets? These 2 are normal. This will be acting as a list. So if the asterisk is added to another variable name than the last, Python will assign values to the variable until the number of values left matches the number of values left. So what does it mean? So here I've taken 4 elements and stored in y1. Now I've taken 3 variables again, but here center one I given the star mark. So what happens in this case? Okay, what happens in this case? So here what I'm trying here Python is stored in this one. Second one you can see, last one is for this one. Okay, the book is stored here. But what about the remaining? Okay, remaining these 2 will be storing into this pro because I put a star mark. First one no problem. Last one is assigned for the last one, but in between whatever elements are there, I will be storing into this particular variable because I put a star mark. Okay, just click. Can you see? What all elements are available in between are storing in a list format, square brackets. Last one is individual, first one is individual because here we have mentioned. Wherever you get a star mark, okay, these things will be stored into this one. Okay, because I mentioned last one is a normal one, it is stored. First one is also normal one, I have stored. Okay, now can I go for count the number of given items into the tuple? That means if suppose some value is repeating in your tuple, okay, I want to just count how many number of times a particular value is repeating, then you can apply count method. So count method returns the number of times a specified value appears in the tuple. So if you can see the syntax, now this is one of the method. Okay, now tuple variable you need to take dot count function count method, and you need to give the value what you want to count, which number or which value you want to count for number of times. For example, say this one, this is a parameter, right? And that is the required parameter, and that is the item to search for. For example, I've taken 3 4 5 2 5 2 8 9 5 4. So this 5 is repeating 1 2 and 3 times. This 2 is repeating for 2 times, 4 is repeating for 2 times. Let's suppose I want to count how many number of times the 5 is repeating in the tuple. So the whole thing is a tuple x in store in x1. You take the tuple variable and apply count method and give that 5 because you want to count how many number of times the 5 is existing. Okay, and final answer is stored in y1 you print. So here how much? 1, 2 and 3 times it is counting. It is available, right? So your answer should be 3. So you got 3 here. If suppose I give 4, how many times it is repeating? 1 and 2. So your answer should be 2 here. If I give 2, 2 is also repeating twice, 1 and 2. This answer is 2. If I give 8, your answer should be 1. Only one time is there. Okay, so that is the purpose of count. Now, what is the purpose of index method? The index method finds the first occurrence of the specified value. Okay, so you are giving one value as a parameter. Okay, that should be available in the tuple. So it will give, suppose we take the same example. 5 is repeating, right? 5 is repeating for thrice. And I want to get the index number of the first occurrence of that particular 5. Okay, then you can go for index method. So index method raises an exception if the value is not found. Okay, what you are searching for. So tuple variable dot index method, and you give the value because you want to find out the first occurrence of it. And value parameter is required one, and that is the item what you want to search for. Now same example I'm taking 3.3, 4. So it's the same tuple, and I'm going for this 5 same number, but I want to get the index number. 3 times it is repeating. No, this is the first occurrence. Now this is 0 index, 1 index and 2 index. This index number 2 is written for me. So you can see this is the tuple x1 dot index of 5. So I'm expecting my answer is 2 is the index that is stored and print. Just execute. Can you see? Now suppose this 2 is repeating here. Index number 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. So 4, the index number 3 is there and 5 it is there. But this is the first occurrence, right? So you need to get the answer as 3. So I'll write 2, I'm searching first occurrence of 2. Can you see index number 3? But now 8 is not repeating, no? Still I want to find out what is the occurrence. 0 index 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. Can you see 6 you are getting? Okay, suppose I take 4. 4 is here and here. So first occurrence is this one. Okay, so this index number is 1. So I'll just make a change and do 4. Can you see it is 1? So this is the purpose of index number, where it is going to show the first occurrence of the given value, and the count method is going to count how many number of times that particular value is repeating in the tuple. Okay, so these are the two methods of tuple, count and index. So these are few concepts of tuple where you can apply into your real-time application. So I hope I have given some input on the tuples of Python, and also shown the clear demonstration of the concepts of the tuples. So if you like this video, do comment, subscribe and share it to your friends. Thank you.